me to start?
There are quite a few items on the agenda tonight, so we're gonna take 5 minutes per item.
Okay.
And discuss it, and then we'll go back around and.
All right, I can start. What I got from the building department, a couple things I wanted to touch base. I don't think any of it's too important, but it's important to us. The first one is on the single page. It's called The Cost of City Removal. And this is about what we do for grass. Basically, it's grass. When we mow the lawns for people that don't cut their grass and we have to cite them, we've been charging for a while now. The city charges $100, and then plus the landscaper's cost. But if we cut it twice, 3 times, or 4 times or more, it's still the $100 cost, which that's not even covering the cost of my staff to send out the notices, recheck them, go back out there, and all the hassles we go through. So I wanted to increase our cost to $200 and plus the landscaper's fee. So actually just want to bump our costs up to $200. I did talk to our finance director and the mayor, and they both were on board. So we pay that cost. We don't really pay that cost. So what we do is bill them. They have 30 days to pay it. If they don't, it'll go on their property tax. So it's not really costing us money, but it's costing us money for the time it's taking the people to go out there and do all the work in the hours. That's where we're hurting. So I looked at, I'm sorry I don't have it, but I looked at Willowick, I looked at Wickliffe, and some of them, they're hitting up to $400. And I didn't want to go that high, but it was last raised, I believe, in 19. So it's been about 6 years or so, and I feel this is a fair increase and not asking for that much. So my proposal is to raise the 100 to 200 for the cities. Yes.
What if it's a hardship? If it's a senior or somebody who is really in a bad place?
I do have the right that if someone comes in and talks to us, I can waive it or reduce it, but we don't put that out there.
Okay. But it is...
Once in a while, I'll get maybe 3 or 4 out of 500 plus that we do.
But you still put the landscaping on?
Yeah, we put so the landscaper usually, he'll charge a typical lawn and maybe $30, $35.
Okay.
So right now they're paying $130. So I want to go to $235. And the other thing is getting out of hand that we even have to tax so many of these. A lot of these are rental properties, vacant homes. But there are homes that people live in, which I never understood why people, if you own a home, you can't cut your grass. I don't get it. Just mind-boggling.
And before this happens, they get a warning?
Yes, we send out a letter, so we have to go out, we have to write down the addresses. Then the guy comes back, we check the website, the county record, where they live or where they could live. Send out a notice, it's 5 days. But by the time they actually get it, it's 7+ days because of mail, everything else, and it's still not cut. But then we have to go back around, check it, make sure it is cut or not cut. And then we write it up that it isn't cut. Now our landscaper, if we send them out there, he goes out and it is cut, he'll get a $20 fee for his time of going out there, and they cut it in between last and when he gets out there. So some of these lawns, they could have realistically 10 days before they mow it. You know, we got 5 days, we gotta get out there, plus the week, you know, I mean.
That's after you had a complaint about it.
Yeah, the mail, everything else, so, I mean, they get quite a bit of time, yes.
Do we have something in the ordinances where, I mean, is this a, where the citations build up and then it gets to be like a minor misdemeanor? If this is a consistent thing, I mean, if we're going out.
So what it is they get 5 days the first, we only have to do one notice. So they
In a
get
calendar year,
the-
correct,
yes,
right, okay.
for the first time they get the notice, they'll get a letter saying, cut your grass, blah, 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 if you don't do it. That's the only notice we have to send out for the year. But then we still have to go around and
But is
see it.
there a criminal, we don't usually file
No.
a criminal violation?
No,
Right.
I know for building code stuff, we have criminal
yeah,
violations.
no, and then we send out the guy again. So, you know, if it's a rainy season and there's a lot of grass, you know, even the grass cutter, which I understand, can't always get out there right away.
I guess what I'm wondering is if there's a way that it could be increase the penalty in the ordinances to give more teeth to it, so that you're not consistently going after the same people all the time, the same 500, the same 200. So you've done this, if 3 times in 1 year, now it's going to be a cumulative effect, or.
Well, you can raise the city costs up more.
I think what your point too is you had the opportunity to file a criminal violation at that point in time.
Right,
Because
because
the fees
there are
have to be
some.
related to our service.
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
we gotta justify
Yeah.
the fee.
It might be in there, I have to look at the property maintenance code. I mean,
We've never taken any.
Because I thought the garbage was changed to a minor misdemeanor if they're not keeping up
I
their.
don't remember, I'll have to look.
Yeah, I don't remember either. We don't usually, we never had taken someone to court over a grass setter. We just send the guy out, cut it, and they get billed.
I'll check and see.
And then, that's why when you see Carol, I know I'm over 5 minutes, but when Carol Ann, once in a while, goes to the meeting, she'll say, all right, I have all this list that has to go to the county, I'm asking for your blessing or whatever.
Right.
And that usually happens, especially in the fall, she has to get the list in by a certain time, so it could go on this year's property tax.
So really nothing for repeat offenders, you're just basically saying, they're basically saying, we're not going to cut the grass, we know you're gonna come out, you're gonna do it, it's gonna be abated, and when I'm dead, I'm not gonna have to worry about it, because the taxes are gonna follow the
For
property.
someone that buys that house will eventually.
Right, so
take
I'm
it.
just wondering if there's a way that it can be, you're going to pay for this now, and it's not just going to be abated on those
The
properties.
city wants to raise that price up higher, but again, I have to justify.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it as a fee, I think you have to do it as.
That's what I'm saying, the fee's just gonna keep going, no matter how high it is, I'm just wondering if there's
Yeah,
some
I'll look
cheap that
at-
we can add to it.
I'll look to see if there is one that we just may have never used, and
Okay.
if not, we'll see if we can put it in the property maintenance section, where if we have a repeat offender, we can file a criminal case.
Okay, thank you,
So,
It may be in there, we just probably don't, we might not even use
I
it.
think it is, but.
so that's what I'm asking, to raise it to 200, at least at this point. Talking about that other, what, Chris is talking about, that could be added down below, that would have to really be a vote, but. So what I want to change is to 200, the 100 feet to 200. And I can justify that.
You wanna discuss your permits?
Yeah, and then I'll go over the permit. So any more questions I have on that, or?
One question. We already take people to court for other property maintenance issues.
Yeah,
Like
we
houses
do.
and things. So this is, in essence, I mean, we sort of already have a precedent.
We do, I don't know if we have it for.
Right,
For
right.
grass cutting and mowing.
Okay.
Not per se, but we have it for exterior
Yeah,
violation.
exactly.
We probably could loop it in there. It could probably fall in there, Randy will check.
Yeah, it's just, we have, if these repeat offenders, you're darned if you do, darned if you don't, because we'd be filing criminal charges every week.
We already have homes, but we already have homes where we know we're gonna be siting already. So I told the guys, just start cleaning them now, because,
Right.
they're vacant and we know it's gonna be a problem. Okay, on the permit, there's another section, that I've been looking at. So, on our permit, when you hire a contractor, the contractor has to register with us, insurance and all that. But he also gets charged for a deposit. So it's $100, 25 is clerical, and then the 75 he would get back if he calls for all his inspections and everything is good. We get the 75 back. Homeowners, they get charged only for a permit cost. The big problem I'm having, excuse me if any homeowners are here, the homeowners are taking advantage of this. And a lot of homeowners are not doing this work. The majority of them are not. I'm having people come in to do concrete driveways, roofs, fences that look like me. There's no way in heck they're doing it.
You mean handsome?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the firm.
Nothing to do with it. So, something should be done. So I talked to the staff is really getting fed up with it too. So our idea would be to keep it the same for contractors and residential homeowners. There'd be a $100 deposit, $50 clerical fee. So the clerical fee from 25 to 50. If you think about it, $25 clerical fee is nothing. So the clerical fee would go up to 50, and so it'd be up to 150 now. And that's what we feel is just. Now, the deposit, if they get the work done in a timely fashion and everything's good, then they'll get the deposit back, $100 deposit. But we're bumping up the clerical fee, 25, and we're making it the same for our contractor and the homeowner as far as what they pay for the permit, as far as the deposit and the clerical. That explain that, like everyone understands it?
I'm just wondering if maybe people don't realize they need to do that,
We will.
to get the permit. I'm wondering if they think, oh, I'm just doing this little fence project.
The homeowner?
Yeah,
Oh, they
maybe.
know.
Okay. Maybe we can put like educational
No,
things
no.
out too, like to remind us.
They're well aware.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I had a guy that came in as I was leaving today, and again, might have been a little bit more challenging for me, taking out a homeowner's permit early. We're just tired of it.
okay. So,
And we're not trying to penalize anyone.
but you think
If
the
they do-
contractor's saying like, hey, you go in because it's gonna be cheaper?
No,
It's
the
just-
contractors, some of them, yes, some of them, the contractors are saying, so I don't have to register.
Okay,
We want you to get the permit. And that's wrong, because the homeowner is then responsible for the work. And we tell them all that up front.
okay.
We say, you're taking out the permit, if something's wrong, we're only looking at you. You tell me a contractor did it, I don't know. You took out the permit, you're responsible. You get called for the inspection. So when they call for the inspections and I come out there, if it's for electrical, plumbing, you better be able to explain to me what you did and, how you did it. And if you
Well,
can't,
the other ones where it's done, and then you gotta
Yeah.
punch holes in the wall to see electrical and all that.
right. That's what we're facing. But a lot of times the homeowner's there taking out the permit and the contractor's there, and he's like, hey, I just registered and I gotta pay this, and the homeowner's just paying $40 and walking away.
Is this also protection of the homeowner to make sure the contractor is licensed and bonded?
Yes,
So
and
if they don't get the permit, then we don't have that.
the carrot is the $100 deposit, make sure we get called out there to inspect it for them. A lot of homeowners, and I know there's a lot of homeowners that are contractors and know how to do the work. But there's a lot of homeowners that don't know how to do it. That's what we're trying to help. So now, you'll get your deposit back if you do everything right. So it's not like we're just keeping the $100. If you do everything, call for your inspection, you get the deposit back. We send out deposits back all year long. Believe me, I have to sign them. Sometimes I have a stack of 50 of them. I gotta sign off on the deposit. So we're not in the business of keeping the deposit. We're in the business saying, hey, if you don't, we're trying to level the playing field. So we're trying to keep it safe for both the homeowner and the contractor, but the contractor still has to register with it. So he's paying $125 to register, plus he has to pay for a bond. But if you pay for a bond once, like in the city of Eastlake, you're good all year in the city of Eastlake. But if you go to Willoughby, you gotta pay for another bond. If you go to Mentor, you gotta pay for another bond. So it does get expensive for the contractor. They're making their money, but, you know, they gotta pay over and over. So we talked about it as a group, and we felt that this would be fair, because our frustration is that we're tired of the monkey business, and we just are trying to make it fair. And like I said, so really the homeowner right now, what's really gonna cost them is the $50, the clerical fee. I mean, it was $25 doesn't pay all what Carolyn has to do, and even the guys do, to get to it, and finances involved with the clerical. It just doesn't add up anymore.
Also in attendance is the engineer Brian Minute. Angela, would you like to?
I just had one other thing. So I just think, like, if this goes forward, I still think something needs to be put out. So it's not to squash.
Oh, we'll have like a thing in the office saying, here's gonna be new fees. We have a board right in there and it tells people that. But we'll have handouts at the counter.
And just even clearly that you do get this money back once this process
Yeah.
is done. Just so nobody can
Yeah, we'll
say
explain
that
it,
it's
everything.
not, okay.
Yeah, we'll explain it. Like I said, information board, we'll have a thing up there.
And were you thinking more of like a proactive kind
Yeah,
of approach
just to-
beforehand to let people know, hey,
Because I feel like this could be so easily manipulated. Oh, they're keeping the $100 without even knowing they're keeping that extra $100.
We explain it when everyone comes in for a permit, what
They were still paying that.
we're paying for it.
Right, most people don't know what they're paying, what they're permitted to do, they go get a permit.
The problem is,
Right.
we get so many people that take out the permit, and we never hear from them again. And then we have to go back out, if it's inside, we make calls saying, hey, you took out a permit for this, we haven't heard from you. Call again another month, they haven't heard from you. Eventually, we have to close it out. At that point, they lose that deposit,
Okay.
because now I've wasted a person calling, and if they are there, then finally someone has to go out and look at them. So there's a lot behind it
Yeah.
that we do.
And I think maybe that would be helpful to say, this is why, you know, I guess just kind of letting people know this is why it's happening, and a lot of it's not, I don't know. Yeah, I don't
You know,
know. I
they
just
should
think
know,
like,
at this point, they should know you gotta call the city to do it.
But I could see somebody, I could see people not knowing, young homeowners coming in and just not, I could see it happening.
Can only do so much to explain the obvious.
We explain it.
Also to your point about educating them, I mean, it'd be good to make sure that the residents are aware that if the resident pulls a permit, they're on the hook for the inspection.
Yeah, well, they, again, we tell them all that.
The only way to explain it out to them is to maybe put it on Facebook, in which case they already Googled the city to get to their Facebook page, they could just call the city and ask the question.
Well, they don't Google to get to the Facebook.
Well, say, but they could,
Yeah, I know what
they've
you're
already
saying.
taken the effort, you can just call the city, ask the building department, now you know what your duties are.
I think I do understand what Angela is saying, though, and I like,
Yeah.
and I like the idea of a proactive educational approach, and that's certainly anything that, I mean, we really do try to do that with people, let them know, listen, you own these properties, and these are things that you do, because a lot of people do buy properties and they think, I can just do whatever I want to, you know, it's my property, I own it, I'll open an Airbnb tomorrow,
Well, we,
so I mean, that's just kind of.
we find a lot of, unfortunately, people doing work out there without permits. We have to stop and say, you gotta have permits.
Maybe around spring, or just put it in your report at council or something.
Believe me, we're very busy right now.
When they come in to get a permit, do you give them, or do you explain it to them, or do you hand them something with the procedure?
So we come in, say you come in, Wednesday, are you here for a homeowner or contractor? Say we don't know you, okay? You say, well, I'm here for a homeowner. Okay, what are you gonna do? We give you the permit information. Then we explain to you, you know, you're gonna be responsible for everything. We tell you what the fees are. You're gonna have to pay a deposit. Now, call for your inspections and everything, because if you don't, you're gonna lose your deposit. If you do, you'll get your deposit.
So you tell them, you know?
Yeah, we tell them, Carolyn,
Would it be
and
possible to
Well,
print out
even on
something?
their website, it says notice all homeowners, if you're paying the term on behalf of the contractor, to be reliable for all owners, including any violations of any short-term credit. So, I mean, they can find that.
it's on their permit too when they get it. I think we do a pretty good job. And then once some, as you know, some word of mouth is big. Someone will put it on, like Randy said, Facebook or something.
And most homeowners don't know what they're paying, or
Correct,
until they come in to get a permit.
correct.
They don't know.
If I just said it's gonna be $150, $175 for remodeling your kitchen, most of them go in there and ask what they paid for. Okay, cash or fees.
Yeah, and please, I'm not,
No,
love
I-
your person, so I'm not saying that they're not educated. My thing is just something for maybe someone who's not educated. At least then you can pull, hey, you know what, I know these people put it online. At least it's kind of, we did our due diligence of
Well,
putting it out there.
moves forward, I'll be happy if you can create something and put it out. I'm not very good at that.
So, I don't know. That's just a lot.
So that would be my ideas, and we would just have to change a couple of the fees in the, charts that we have for, for what you paid for, and I would have, you know, get Randy to change it up a little bit. So them are my two things that I wanted to talk about. Listen,
You did your 5 minutes in 25 minutes.
I
One question, would you like to go over?
too many questions.
Sorry. I ruined this 5 minutes. Okay, I had reached out to Randy a while ago and, Mr. Men about the massage parlors, just because, it's becoming a problem with some of our sister cities, like, I think it's Painesville and Menor, but then also throughout the United States, you're seeing a lot of the same thing happening. So I was just asking for a few changes, which I don't think is, because I'm very pro-business, so I want to always make sure, this is not to punish anyone, but it's to make sure that the legitimate businesses, you know, are okay, and people who, you know, aren't with a good intention aren't being, you know, catered to. So I just had a couple things, and I only have this one, and because I was going to give it to you, and I kind of like tried to color code it. So my first one, which I know I asked you about, was the inspection, because in ours, when I read it, to me, it sounds like it's an inspection for the actual permit. But on, in Akron, Ohio, they, have specifically that, the, police or public health, from time to time, at least 2 times a year, could make, inspections. I'm not saying that has to be it, but,
I think ours is okay. The police,
Okay.
fire, building, health are authorized, shall be authorized to make inspections of each massage establishment for purposes of determining that provisions of the capital are fully complied with. I feel like they can go whatever they want.
anytime.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you come in, the fire marshal can go, he has the most power.
Okay,
But if you come in today for a massage, I'm not gonna give you a permit right away.
mhm,
I'm gonna have you fill it out, we'll take a look at it, and now I've been sending them to planning commission for them to explain what they're doing, because I don't wanna be on the hook as the only person approving it, and then find out there's a problem.
I think we have enough inspection authority respectfully. And
okay.
I think as far as, I think we're most all concerned about criminal activity.
Mhm.
And I wish, if the chief was here, I suspect what he would tell you is, usually when we would do these things, we would send people in to do the inspection or get the services. And they would probably then get a warrant to enter so that nobody ever said they shouldn't have entered. Even though they have this authority, I would suspect the police wouldn't do it for purposes of a criminal investigation.
I think it involves one thing, the criminal.
I think they'd still get a warrant just to make sure they get caught on the other side of the warrant. But I think we have enough.
I do go through the police chief, I'll give him the information, ask him if he can see if there's been any trouble, or if there's anything wrong with this person, or if there's a history, and then we go from there.
If you want me to put in here as determined necessary by, whatever you.
I just, the way I read it, but that doesn't mean, I like things very literal, so, but I know that gray is sometimes good, so you have that.
But like I said, I've been sending it to planning commission, because
Okay.
I want other people to hear it, and let them make, decisions.
I don't think we have any right now, do
No, it's pretty much, I kinda say no right away.
Yeah, because my concern is, because I think Painesville Township put a moratorium on them, so I get nervous, like, are they gonna start moving their way down?
We haven't gotten any calls, but I pretty much kinda say no.
Okay, so the second, so can we still look at these though? Like,
Yeah.
is that okay?
Absolutely.
So the second one was, we are from, so they cannot operate from 11 PM to 6 AM, but almost all the ones I'm reading, shut off at 10 PM. Like, that's kind of, so I wanted to see if we could kind of bump up that time.
Sure.
Would that be okay?
Or lower,
Or,
right?
yeah, lower it, so 10 PM, no more.
I mean, what is massage? Massage envy is like one of the legitimate places. I would assume
Massage
they're closed-
engineers, yeah.
They probably close at 8 or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're different everywhere, they're all kind of, the chain, but they're owned individually.
So I have no objection to shutting them down altogether, because
That's what I was thinking.
they're just trouble.
We could just say no massage places.
Yeah.
What?
But then if you do get a massage envy or something,
I mean, I'm fine if it's legitimate, but it's just,
so you just want to tighten hours up.
and then, also, all of the ones I've been reading, especially recently, they have included a massage establishment should not be used as a place of residence. And, that has been a couple of them that I've read, and it's just because of, like, with some adult trafficking and then labor, you know, so it's crazy that it has to be in there, but I've
Well,
noticed it everywhere.
we do
and
have
it's-
Well, we do have a former police officer who's what I think is a yoga.
Yeah.
Try, yeah.
Cat's out of the bag, I wasn't gonna say. And nobody's implying she's doing anything inappropriate, but she does it at home. I don't know if she has probably a CUP maybe,
Yeah, they have a,
just for a home.
they just sold it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're moving into a different building.
The other thing that a lot of the, ones that I'm reading are requiring is keeping a record. So, and I didn't find that in ours, but, every person, who comes in for an appointment, they have to have a record of that person. And most of them require like a phone number, the price charged and the service provided. So it's just keeping on the books who's being serviced at these. And so like, I know some people have the argument that, you know, that's kind of personal, but I literally check in when I go to Great Clips, and they have my phone number, my email. Like, so I feel like if you're doing it to get your hair cut, if you're going for a massage, it shouldn't be, because if it's something that you're doing on the up and up, it should not be an issue having that. So it's asking if you're
I went to a
considering that.
massage place for quite a while with my health, and I don't think she ever wrote something like that in the book or anything.
Did they at least get your information?
Yeah, she knew who I was once I signed up.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I say, they're just saying they should have a log of, and there's a couple of them, and I can send them to you to please think about.
From the state would, or, yeah, I don't know if the state requires that or not, but I think it's someone trying to put through sewer for the,
And I think
But
it's just
who
more
would
of an
keep track of that?
accountability.
just the owner.
No, it's the owner, so then if you go in, and I think that's part of the inspection, is if you go in and you're not following these, you know, rules, then we have a problem.
Like a place would look at.
I mean, I guess we could handle it, if the committee doesn't want to have it, and we won't bother. If
Okay.
you want it in, we can, I'll find a place.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to log, I'd have to give some thought, I hit on all that stuff.
And
You know, just a thought, a lot of health companies cover massages.
Yeah.
It could be a HIPAA violation.
Correct.
And
That's
they
what
may want
Randy just
information
said.
already anyway.
Right.
Right.
Just a heads up.
I mean, I see why
Excuse
it's
me, go
there.
ahead.
Sorry.
You're saying like to
Just trying to
track
help.
people so that, but it could be a HIPAA gun. I would agree with that.
And maybe we can reach out to some of these communities.
They don't have to go back.
I mean, I could reach out to them and just say, you know, you added this. Is this, are you finding this to be a HIPAA violation? Because I know Akron did it, and I believe Orange, Texas did it as well.
Yeah, we could put it in somewhere. I'll find it.
But again, I don't want it something that's, you know, that's not. But I'm just noticing a lot of these
Why
places.
they did it.
I can,
Yeah, I know, right?
I'll find a place for it, try to make all the changes.
Average, chain massage parlors, like,
Massage, yeah.
So I didn't look at,
those times, what time do those stay closed?
so I didn't look at them. I was trying to look more at what are these other communities doing.
They close at 9.
So, you can even close time, so 9 o'clock. If it's legit place, they're not gonna stay
Yeah.
open until 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Nice cocktail 7 in the morning.
Right.
And then, I think the other, so I know you mentioned about the CUP, which I think you said you're already doing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that, and I didn't make a copy of it, so I apologize, I can get it to you, depending on how far you want to take this. So I think it's in Texas where they are requiring you to have, the masseuse to have the Ohio license, not like one from the internet.
When they come into us, they give us their license.
Okay.
We photocopy it, but that doesn't mean they hire someone there.
And that's what they're requiring is that who they're hiring is licensed through, well, they're in Texas, but they're making it that because they just, now, the community I was looking at is having a bigger problem, and so obviously they had to hit hard. But again, even if we made a couple of these changes, maybe this is something, if it ever comes here, something to keep in mind of making sure that, you know, that they're licensed here.
This says massager's permit required, no person shall practice massage as a massager, employee, or otherwise unless the person has provided medical or practicing valid subsistence massager's permit issued by the city and one by the state. Technically, all right.
We're okay. And see, I guess I felt like I
If
didn't.
they're gonna violate,
read it
they're
in
gonna
here.
violate, yeah.
Yeah.
I got burned, I will admit, I got burned on one place, up by, and the police actually had to go in and, they did undercover work.
Oh my gosh.
Stop.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, now.
No, I'm sorry to hear
And
that.
they stopped it.
Okay.
Angela, would you be opposed to, like Randy is saying, is simply not allowed allowing them, and then if somebody does come in, like massage envy, so they have one in Macedonia, Beechwood, Menor, and those are very, very, very legitimate, big places. They wanted to come here, then they can come here and say, listen, I'd like a CUP, and actually come here.
Yeah, I send them again.
Correct, so instead of trying to think of every single variable and changing this and changing that, and then putting the onus upon the building department to constantly going in and checking, just say, you know what, we just don't need them here. We're a tiny city, we don't need them. They're all over the place if they want to be. And if you are a big company like Massage Envy, you want to come in, then you plead your case. I'm not okay with any of them, frankly, but that's me. I mean, you can make it simple and make that statement, and then if a legitimate place does want to come in, then they earn that right and show us that they are legitimate and that they want to come here, and they plead their case that way. Otherwise, we're going to be jumping through hoops trying to come up with how many variables and rules can we come up with to follow to keep them out. When you say keep them out, and then if you want to come in, you plead your case and show that you're a good, reputable company and you deserve to be here.
I think the right ones are good because, again, I'll talk about my experience with my health. It really does benefit people that have health issues and different things.
Right.
It's not just for the person that has a sore shoulder muscle or something.
Right.
Randy, will we be in the same situation with, if we ban them, as we ended up in with the adult bookstores where we could be sued and they say, hey, you have to allow them, but you have to designate an area.
The adult bookstore was a free speech issue, so I don't, that was an issue, it's just because you're banning it because it's a freedom of speech issue. I don't see it as an issue. And then I could tweak these and, however, either way, it doesn't matter. It's not like we have that many.
No, and then I think it's just, again, this is maybe a proactive, because it's becoming a problem.
Yeah.
And it's becoming a problem in our county. So eventually,
They'll come back.
they'll come here at some point. So I think it's just, again, another measure to be, not fighting them while they're knocking on the door. And so,
Let me see, so it's kind of 3 points you want to get in there, let me see if I can fit it.
I don't think we have any
I don't think
full body massage. I think we had one lady that was doing like facials.
we have any physical therapy places.
I think some of them do feet too.
No,
Yeah,
you're going to.
facial.
We have physical
You're
therapy.
going to.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, the medical center.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that was.
For seniors, you're right
What
there.
that has, that has besides.
You ban them all together.
I would be there
Economic.
for you.
I think
You're looking
physical
for
therapy will
economic
fall under a
development,
different
you're
category.
banning somebody out, that's.
and again, I'm pro-business. I don't want to ban you. I just want to make sure that you're
No,
not,
I thought
you know what I
it-
mean? Like, you're not putting somebody else in a bad, position, or so.
Let me just, I think I know, you basically have 3 points, let me see if I can't find a place to put them. Then you guys can decide. Try not to change the whole chapter.
And then I tried to mark where you could put, but obviously, I know, this is your
I'll just
this is your world.
Let me take one here.
So they're both, so this is the ones that I found, and this is Eastlake where I kind of was,
Any other questions?
sorry, that was, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of try to be real short and sweet. So I passed these out. The first two are back in 2020. We changed because of a series of homes on Lakeshore, one in particular, that was an Airbnb and was renting out and having multiple very large parties, 200 people. Police were having to full time with them, and this was ongoing. So Dennis had recommended changing in the 116715, the dwelling, and specifically stating that we were doing no short-term rental, so anything under 30 days. 30 days is interesting because that's a legal thing, so to evict somebody, you have to give them 30 days notice. There's a lot of 30-day things, that's why that was put in there. We're having a lot of problems with Airbnbs right now. We have a bunch of them in the city. They are not reporting as Airbnbs because we don't allow short-term rentals, but the neighbors are the ones that are dealing with that. I being one, there's 2 neighbors that are here. 15, 20 people in 1 month. It's continuing because you're having strangers coming into your community, but putting all of that aside, that is a commercial use in a residential district. And a lot of cities are understanding that zoning classification. Menor just changed theirs and completely outlawed short-term rentals and Airbnbs within their city for that reason. When you buy a home, you have 15, 30-year mortgage, you're in a community, you don't want, nor do you, to be having a business like that. I mean, you can have a business in your home with an office and you as an employee. You can't have extra employees, you can't have outside things coming in, you can be selling these things from your home. It's the same thing. I mean, in one weekend, sometimes there's 3 and 4 different people, over the course of 1 month, more than 15. The police are there, the fire are there, and it's pretty big. You know, we're not in Epcot. We're not in Rhode Island by the beach, right? There are some areas in our city where you may say, oh, somebody would really love to come in and do an Airbnb, but it's still bottom line zoning issue. It's running a commercial business in a residential district.
Yeah, and I think you're right, we essentially changed our definition of dwelling.
Correct.
That is similar to Menor's, but Menor, I think, went a
Has
step.
an ordinance, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, Menor went a step further to make it a criminal violation.
Correct.
Ours is a definition.
Ours is a
Definition of a home.
Which I think is harder, because I know we've been dealing with this, and I've talked to Dave multiple times.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he would be more in favor of an actual ordinance where it's being pretty specific about it.
Yeah, because we don't have any, we have to take, I'm looking to see if there's a criminal enforcement in the zoning section. But you're right, it'd be much easier if it was just in that section and then we had a criminal code violation.
Correct.
Because then if there's a party going on, theoretically,
There's
the
nothing they
chief
can
gets
do.
cited over the weekend, that becomes a party. Then the kids come in, they do Airbnb on a Friday night, Saturday night, nobody's at the building department,
That's right.
and the police department doesn't know what to do, it's just a party.
And then once those people are gone, another group comes in, and the neighbors are dealing with the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I would, instead of starting a whole new, it looks like they did a whole new chapter.
You would have to have a whole new,
I think I would just put at the end of 1145, it's just a residential.
yeah, with the definitions on the back of Ordinance.
That's just-
It's on the dwelling. I mean, at the end, it says
Yeah.
30 days, I don't know, it says short term, but it says 30 days.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't think we need to change our definition of dwelling because we tried to move it forward.
Correct,
I think at the end of 1145, we'll do like 1145:20. Looks like we're at 1145:19, 1145:20 probably. And we just put it there that I'll replicate the criminal violations that Menor has. I think we need all of those because we probably have.
Well, I think it's
I would put it all in one ordinance, and then if there's a penalty or,
You want to do 1147? No, we got 1140.
And if I could clarify just really quickly why it's important that Menor did this, and a lot of cities are doing this, is there's an SB coming down the pike that is going to be taking away our home rule on this as well. So there's a lot of things that are coming down in terms of bills where we need to be looking at this, and this is why Menor, and if you go on, if you look back at all their planning commission meetings and their council meetings, you can see why they started saying booking service, why they were talking about hosting platforms, and why they put these definitions in there. I think respectfully, I know that there's a lot there, but I think it's a really well-written and well thought out over the last year ordinance that they
It's
did.
not a fair way to put it, because we go from 1145 to 1147, so I gotta put it at the end of 1145, so I'm gonna figure out how to get it in there.
Okay,
So it's in the residential zoning code.
I would appreciate that. I just think, but I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. I think they did a great job of explaining short-term rental guests versus hosts, dwelling versus hosting platform owner. One of the issues with some of these Airbnbs is that the owners no longer live at the premises, and they're getting tax benefits to still living there. So it's hurting all the way around.
okay, I would like to bring this up. No, it's gonna help. If the owner is not there, like you say, and if it falls on us and we look up the owner and we have taxes, you can't take them to court.
Well, I think what you're talking about with the Dublin, in all
No,
fairness.
no, but.
Oh, because they don't live
anyway,
in Dublin, that's the
I
mortgage
understand
company.
that, but
Okay.
if they live in Texas, there's nothing I can do. You're not gonna serve them in Texas. They're not gonna come back to you for that.
Well, and I think, and in fairness to that, we're outlawing it completely, so it's fine. But there are some cities that specifically say that within a district or within a state, there has to be a manager who's managing that property. So that you would actually go to the manager, that would actually go to the manager, and that is the person that would have to be. And I mean, we do that with rentals, the rentals do that.
And sometimes you'll be chasing your tail on the manager, all that. It's difficult.
I'm sure it is difficult.
But I mean, you gotta realize that it always just can't find that owner.
Right.
So I just wanted to put that out there.
No, appreciate it.
I
And
mean,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I did wanna give them the opportunity to speak if they wanted to. I don't know if that's too long for you guys, or if you wanna wait till the end and let them talk. They're both here and took the time, to be here because of this issue.
I can say a lot of words in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Trust me. Thank you, everybody. It's nice to actually be at one of these meetings and see what's on. However, we're at Fred Delore, we live at 1239 Waverly. And, I've lived there since 1976, and he's been there since 1985. So we've been there a very long time. We have a wonderful neighborhood, very old, and the house next door to us, but they have probably 15 different owners in it. We've always enjoyed a nice relationship with all of them. Then the young fellow moved here, and he decided that he was going to flip the house and turn it into an Airbnb. And like Kevin did when we told him this, we laughed at him. And we said, who's going to come to East Lake for a vacation or to even instead of a hotel? Well, I can tell you that it has been a revolving door. This man has a very, very viable business going on. This is just we have cars, licenses, pictures. This is his in-laws stay from this is going on 2 years. His in-laws they come from Croatia. They stay there from October until December. So from a couple weeks from October through January, this is all the people that have been in and out of that home. And when they do come, sometimes we don't know who they are. Well, we don't know who they are, period. But they don't know any of our laws, our ordinances. The other day, one of them decided that there were too many cars in the driveway. It was inconvenient for them to move the cars. So he parked his wheels were on the sidewalk, and he was that far from the fire hydrant. Somebody had to call the police to ask them to move it. They park over the sidewalk. We have handicapped and disabled people in their wheelchairs. They can't get around. That's dog walkers have to go in. And so you think, well, okay, but it is a nuisance. And he decided that he was going to put a fire pit right in the middle of his backyard, which is less than 15 feet from all of our garages, and a place that he built for his office, which did not have a permit. He was very proud to tell us that he didn't have a permit because nobody was going to tell him what to do on his property. And those 3 times, those renters have started fires during the backyard and melting the side of our garage, vinyl siding. It's happened 3 times. So the other day, I went to Chief Whittington last October, and I told him what was going on, and that we were really fearful of them burning down our neighborhood. And so he talked with Dave that day, called Dave, and Dave said that he was aware that I think he said that they sent out a letter. Well, we did not hear anything. And then in came more renters, as the fire thing started happening, we started to get a hold of Mr. Metz. We've exchanged 19 emails between us and the fire marshal. But we were told they had to have a fire out there for them to come on the premises. Well, the third fire was, one was Sunday and one was just previous the other day. I was brushing my teeth. Out the window, I see billowing smoke coming out of the back of our garage. Because we can't see, we do not have access apparently they had a fire from the night before that just got out of hand. And I thought a garage was on fire. I went running out there. There were the new renters, the guys, enjoying the beer because they just got off work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they had a fire going. And it was raining. Somebody else called the fire department. Yeah, somebody else, because, I mean, it was just billowing smoke. Fire department came, and so did Paul.
Fire marshal.
Yeah, because, Mr. Mann told us that that would be our next step, is to go to him. He arrived, they looked at it, we made him put it out. He talked with the owner of the home, who does not live there, he lives in East Lake, with his wife and child. And he agreed that he would shut the fire pit down. We didn't ask, I guess we should have, but we don't have any information as to when he's gonna do that. And, also we've been talking to Dave about the Airbnb situation. A new renter moved in, again. So the people that were there burning the fire pit, there's new renters that came in within 3 hours of the other renters moving out. If I went on Airbnb, which I asked Dave to do, I said, go on Airbnb, pull up his account. I counted 25 reviews of short-term, because they have to put a term in there, short-term renters in 13 months. Those are only the people that posted their reviews. Imagine how many others have been going in and out. We've had people that were drunk on the back of the deck, they're banging on the door, fighting with their spouse. We're jumping up at 4 o'clock in the morning going, who's banging at our door? 12, 15-year-olds come walking out of that 600 square foot home, go in the backyard to go to his little office that is now a movie theater. It's a nuisance and it's scary. The lady across the street, she has a handicapped deck, ramp. She's afraid. Every time somebody else moves in there, she's afraid of what they're doing in the neighborhood. There's nobody there to say, you are the person that rented. Let me verify that. Nothing to do. I'm ready. So it's not just parties. It's just that there are unknown people coming into our neighborhood, stay 2-3 days, and they're gone. And I find that it's for our safety also.
And I will also say, remember this too, that every city has ordinances that say where a hotel is going to be because it's a business and it's specific. And there's a bed tax that they're paying, right? So all of these Airbnbs that are there are not paying any bed tax to the city. There's no benefit really to that. So, and I know we're running short on time, and I want to make sure we get everything in. So I'll be done with my spiel, but if we could do something like this, ordinance, I think that would be great. We have council meeting. Yeah, we can.
You do it in council, until the last two, you do council over, it's just moratorium and.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the moratorium, I'm a fan of making it.
Well, that's why I was gonna talk about the
Ordinance
same thing,
and give
but.
it, you know what, and get rid of it.
Moratorium on the internet cafes and on the vape shops.
Because we currently have a moratorium, in fact, I think it might even be over now, I think it's only supposed to last a year, I think. Yeah, I think they actually might be over. And one of the things I'm concerned about is not just limiting the vape shops, but now you have convenience stores, which are already there, that are now starting to sell kratom vapes and expanding the product range to include the vape shop, which is exactly what happened to the convenience store that wants to drive through. So I really wanted to get clarification on that, if maybe we can have another ordinance meeting, it'd be great, I would appreciate it.
You have all your.
Even at 5:30, I can
You could
see
do
people to meet at 5. I just think it's on.
We could set ordinance at 7, considering it's just, to go on for a while. The ordinance council, because we wouldn't.
Just get easy at 5:30.
5:30.
Should be done by what? Unless
We're
they.
just doing plans.
So then make it at 6 o'clock.
Or 6:30.
Yeah.
Now you only have a couple items, so you gotta.
Yeah.
Be done.
Yeah, because I'm with you, the moratoriums are
Yeah, no, not.
probably over by this point, and I agree, so. So, yeah, you got any other comments?
Yeah, good.
Thank you for listening.
Well, could I ask Dave, what will be the follow-up then?
I would ask the law director.
I'm gonna work on an ordinance to kind of incorporate what Spring Act provides, I think we can from there.
And again, I would advise what he tells me to do.
Yeah, something is changing now, so we're gonna have to draft a whole new ordinance, get it to council review it and go from there.
But he had a letter, he had time, so what would you?
The letter went to the old address,
Oh,
so I knew this was coming up, so I had to go with my law director.
As far as the letter, our existing ordinances don't allow short-term rentals, but it doesn't have a criminal penalty in it. So the only option would be a civil penalty, and that's, or civil lawsuit, and that's getting a resolution anytime soon. So we're better off looking at the ordinance from having a criminal penalty, and that gives us a little quicker response time, if that makes sense.
and it can be passed out an emergency if council so chooses. Well, that was my next question, so we have to make sure that all these people don't start our houses and they're put on fire.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're doing the right thing to report it to the fire department, but you see the problem is if the fire isn't going in the fire pit, they're kind of in a tough spot, just like if they get called on fireworks, so they can't find anybody shooting on fireworks and all that other stuff. So I think you're doing everything right.
It's been there twice, and it's been reported, so I'm pretty sure.
Paul said he was there, he talked to me today about it, and, he did say he communicated with the owner, so.
Yeah, he said he would remove it, but I don't know what that time frame is. And so that's our concern, all these people that come in every 2-3 days. I guess we're just gonna have to put a sign in our yard, don't start fire.
We shoot a stream of water across.
Yeah.
And put that out there.
So to ask.
Ordinance meeting.
Okay.
Don't let anybody.
Just don't ask me.
Ordinance meeting is adjourned at 6:58.
What do I do? Hit the group?
Thanks, Daniel.
Lights off.
Now, looking for the date. I'm gonna have to do it on a couple days. You are available. I know.